It's kind of a profound, effective shot. And it's that first shot in the Gladiator movie where he's running his hand over the wheat, right? With that music and stuff. Why does that work? I don't know. You can't explain it, but it works.
Well, Ridley Scott is a master.
Yeah.
That's a visionary human being. He sees things.
He knows how to shoot.
Yeah.
And that's really good. It's a valid pursuit, I think, in storytelling. If you can do that, every time he goes out there, it's eye candy. It's a feast for the eyes. You know.
Do you have different goals with like different projects? Like obviously, Flight Risk is entertainment. It's fun. It's entertaining.
Sure, entertainment. Yeah, and yes, different goals. And it was the other thing too is it's like we're living in a different time now in the film world. I mean, everything's upside down, and you have to compete in a medium where you have less time, less money. Do it fast, do it now. And it's like, wow, can I do that? I always had the luxury of like, big budget and 3,000 people on horses, all this kind of stuff, or, and was able to take my time with stuff. But I had 22 days. And here you got, tell this story in 22 days. So I felt the challenge of being able to do that and being able to make something that really got people, like they could watch it and enjoy it, And I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad you liked it. And that's all I want. I just want people to have a nice little ride, a fun ride, entertainment. But yes, you have different goals with things. I mean, the next thing I'm going to tackle is more profound for me. It's going to take more out of me.
This is the resurrection story.
Yeah. And I even had to change my entire life to do it.
How so?
You can't go into a project as profound in nature as that without somehow preparing yourself for it. It's like preparing for a fight.
Right.
It's like you have to be fit for the fight. And so you have to spiritually prepare yourself for that. And that's going to take some sacrifice. And because, I profess this and I profess that. I'm not a great example of Christianity. I'm just, I'm flawed and I make a lot of mistakes, but I have to try and be better somehow in order to go in and make that film. So what does that mean? I think I know what it means,
Well, one of the things that I thought was fascinating was reading and listening to Jim Caviezel talk about his experience playing Christ in your film.
Yeah.
It just truly changed the course of his whole life.
Well, it was fascinating to watch him work, actually. And most of the time, I just backed away because he was doing something that, and I've seen a lot of people portray Jesus in films, right? And I never buy it. You can't quite buy it. Something creeps in the color that's not, something's not right or discordant. And some of them are pretty good, but you never quite believe it all the way.
What was the Willem Dafoe movie?
Oh, that was a Scorsese film.
Right. What was that called?
The Last Temptation.
That's right.
Which, interestingly enough, I was in a hotel in the Savoy and I had food poisoning. I was near dead I ate a bad oyster in London. And I was dying in a hotel room. And I couldn't even leave. It was the worst. I think it was like salmonella or something. And I saw this cord on the side of the bed and I pulled it. And all of a sudden, a door opened up and a butler like Jeeves came in. He says, "Yes, sir." And I'm like, whoa. And I said, "I'm really sick." I said, "What do you think I should eat?" "Might I suggest some warm consomme and a cup of tea?" I said, "Okay." So this butler took care of me in this hotel. But while I was there, Scorsese calls the room and he says, "Come here, I want to talk to you." So I go in and talk to Martin. And he's in his room and all the windows, the screens are drawn. He's got 18 different TVs going on at the same time in this dark room. And he's talking to me about the Last Temptation of Christ and he wants me to play Jesus. And I said,
"Whoa,
I'm not doing it." And I sort of got out of there. And then I went back to my room and they changed my room. Now this is really weird. They had changed my room and moved my stuff. And they told me they were going to do it, but I forgot. So I'm using a key to get into my room, and it won't work. And the door opens up all of a sudden, and it's Keith Richards in his underpants standing there staring through me and there's a girl in a mink coat walking around it, mink coat and nothing else, walking in the background. And Keith Richards standing there in his underpants with a spliff. And I'm like, I tried to explain that I thought it was my room, but it wasn't. And, it was ridiculous. I'm 26 years old. And he just looks at me like, he shuts the door in my face. I thought, well, that was my meeting with Keith Richards. He slammed the door in my face. So it was like, it's fantastic, Anyway, but what were we talking about?
Caviezel playing Christ.
He did something, I think, that nobody else did. And I think he pulled it off because I totally believed it.
I believed it too.
And it was like, what did he do? He emptied himself out.
Yeah.
And he invited something else in. And he left it. He didn't try anything. He emptied himself out and he meditated. And he let Christ in.
And that role seemed to have had a profound effect on him.
It did.
As a human being.
Oh, absolutely.
And kind of fucked him up in his career.
A little bit. Yeah.
Because people associated him entirely with that film, and then they associated him with Christianity, and then they associated him with right-wing politics, and yeah.
And then, he got sidetracked by a few guys. I mean, there's some people out there, they get in your ear, and it's like Cassius, talking about
right.
And they get you up to make a speech somewhere, and next thing you know, it's like, people throwing eggs at you. And it's like, and you wonder, should I even be saying this? And so he stepped on a bunch of landmines. But, it did have a profound effect on him. But I think he was already mostly there anyway. And I noticed that because when I was trying to cast it, I thought, who could play this? And I saw the opening shot from Terry Malick's film, which was The Thin Red Line. And it was just a big close-up of Caviezel. And there was something otherworldly and childlike going on there in the close-up. And I thought, who's that guy? He's amazing. Of course, you couldn't keep the blue eyes. You had to trade him out. So I changed the color of his eyes to brown and all that stuff. So it looked like he came from the region.
Right.
But amazing. What he already had a quality, an ethereal kind of otherworldliness, space cadet quality.
Yeah.
And he's still kind of like that. He's still like, wow. I wish I had met him, or I haven't met him still, but I wish I'd seen him before and then after. To see what did that role change him? Because it seemed to have strengthened his faith. Sure, it did. Yeah. He got in real tight with it, and I think he had some experiences while he was doing it. He suffered a little, and
didn't he get struck by lightning?
Well, there's 2 times there was these lightning strikes happening on the set, and there was this guy with him. He was a young fella, one of the assistants on the film. His name was Jan. And old Jan was he's 6'2", Italian, northern Italian guy, If he tripped in the street, women would slide under him, It was that kind of stuff. The guy was like a babe magnet, right? And I think he was taking full advantage of the gifts he had. But he got hit by lightning the first time, getting people. We were out on the hill and there was a lightning storm, with the crosses and stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
And this guy called Gieppo, he was a grip, and he never spoke a word to me the whole time. He was just a quiet kind of guy. And I figured, he doesn't know English, so, But he came up to me, and in perfect English, he said, I think you should get all the people off the hill. We could be struck by lightning. And I thought, that's a good idea. Let's get off the hill. So we're moving off the hill. Everybody's getting off. And this kid gets hit through the umbrella, this Jan guy. And he gets zapped by lightning, right? But he's 22, and he goes to the disco all night and dance. He's doing the whole, 22 experience. And he comes back the next day, and he's like, yeah, it was great. And then he was with Jim the second time it happened. But this time, I found him in a Fiat Bambino with his knees up around his ears, like waiting for the third strike. He was like, this just doesn't happen twice in the third strike. And he says, I have to change my life. He was like, so it was pretty
filming
funny.
That movie must have had a profound effect on a lot of people, right?
It did, yeah.
Because you were doing something that wasn't just a film. It was...
Yeah, verite kind of.
Yeah. And it was strengthening people's faith. That film was profound success, and a lot of people dismissed the idea of it even.
Yes.
Especially in Hollywood. I mean, you had to self-fund all that, right?
Yes, it was self-funded, and it was a very strange experience, that one, because I put the money in, and I thought, well, maybe I'll break even. And it was, then I got these messages back. All the majors wouldn't distribute it. So I was like, nobody will distribute it. Okay, I guess I've lost, the money, but it was worth the experience. And so one guy was left in the room at the end when the dust settled. It was some guy. He said, I'll distribute. And he had a little company called New Market, and they distributed like 1 or 2 films before. And I think it was a Charlize Theron movie called A Monster, about that horrible serial killer.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll do it. And, it was just really basics. I went and I met the exhibitors. And, and this guy was like the distributor. This little company was just him and a toothless dog and a fax and an assistant. And it was like, okay, what's all the smoke and mirrors about this between the distribution and exhibition? I made handshake deals with all the exhibitors. Yeah, we'll show this. I said, okay. And then we put it out there. And it went out. Nobody expected it to do much, but it did phenomenally well. And there was this kind of thing in the town. They said, did anyone just see that? Anyone just see what that guy did? Can't let that guy do that again. And we don't want anyone doing that, because it sort of walked around the entire system.
Yes.
And scored.
Right, so there was 2 things. There was resistance to the Christianity aspect of it and promotion of Christianity, and then there was resistance to the fact that you went outside the system.
It was outside. Well, I had no alternative.
Right.
Because no major would back it.
Because of the Christianity aspect of it.
I guess, yeah. Well, Rupert Murdoch said, he wanted to, and then he said, nah. And then somebody advised him and said he'd be out of business in 5 years. Rupert Murdoch.
Wow.
In 5 years if he distributed that. And I was like, wow, if he's scared, I'm like, I'm gonna crash and burn here. But it actually did all right.
It did phenomenal.
Yeah. And then, again, I tried to, then I went with the studio on Apocalypto, but, that didn't work out so well.
It didn't?
No.
In what way?
Well, it was interesting. The film was a film it had no stars. It was in another language, and it came out on a weekend with another film that had Leo in it, and another film that had Cameron Diaz in it. And so those 3 films came out on the same weekend, and the one with no stars and without the language won the weekend monetarily. It won the box office by a narrow margin on the other 2. And the second week out, Disney pulled the screens.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought, that's funny. Well, screens are gone. I guess there's another agenda, because that was another self-funded one.
Did they pull the screens because they had movies that they had already made deals with?
I think so. But, it's just politics and, And I think perhaps the distribution deal on that wasn't as good as something else, or so it's it's all business.
It's a phenomenal movie, though.
It's a great film, and it did better afterwards
in DVD and streaming and all that.
Sure. Yeah, it did well.
Yeah. I watched it again like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen it in a while, and I watched it again, and I had forgot a bunch of aspects of it. Like, God damn, it's a good movie.
It's just primal.
Yes.
And I think I love primitive stuff, and primal emotions. I mean, basically, it's a guy just trying to get back home to save his wife and kid. And he's got a lot of obstacles in the way, like jaguars and bad guys chasing him and trying to skin him and trying to rip his heart out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I sat in a room with my assistant. He said, "What do you want to do next? Chase movie?" He said, "Well," so we found out where the Mayan canoes and Columbus and all that, and then we just started making the story up in the room, and we wrote it.
Wow.
And yeah, some assistant, man. He actually tapped it out. Crazy.
So when you're making this resurrection movie now, you also have this obligation. There's this, you're doing a very similar thing that you were doing with the Passion of the Christ, where this is a profound story.
Yes.
When you put something like that together, how do you choose who's going to be the next Jesus?
You use him again.
Caviezel.
Yeah, I know it's 20 years later.
Too.
It's 20 years later, but it's...
Yeah, but it's the right guy.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be 3 days later, but he got 20 years older. And I think I have to use a few techniques that they've started to get really good with
the CGI and they can do amazing things now.
You can actually get some of the same people.
And by the time you film it, it'll be even better.
Yeah.
When are you going to start filming?
I'm hoping next year sometime. There's a lot required because it is, I'll just tell you this, it's an acid trip when we wrote it. It is like, I've never read anything like it. And my brother and I and Randall all sort of congregated on this. So there's some good heads put together, but there's some crazy stuff. And I think in order to really tell the story properly, you have to start with the fall of the angels, right?
Yeah.
Which is you're in another place. You're in another realm. You know, you need to go to hell. You need to go to Sheol.
So you're going to have hell? You're going to have Satan, all that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sure, you got to have, yeah.
Right.
You got to have his origin.
How do you depict that?
This is a good question. And I think I have ideas about how to do that. And ideas about how to evoke things and emotions in people from the way you depict it and the way you shoot it. So I've been thinking about it for a long time. So it's not going to be easy, and it's going to require a lot of planning. And I'm not wholly sure I can pull it off, to tell you the truth. It's really super ambitious. But I'll take a crack at it. Because that's what you got to do, right? Walk up to the plate, right? So I think I can get it. But it's not about me, you know?
Right.
It's about something else.
Well, if anybody can do it, you can do it.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
It's trying to find the way in that's not like cheesy or obvious, but that actually it's almost like a magic trick in a sense. It's diversion. It's obfuscate this, show that. Look over here. You know, I don't know. It's
do you have a title?
Yeah, it's just like the resurrection of the Christ. Yeah, it's like so that's a title. And yeah, it's very ambitious. That's all I'll say. It took a long time to write. It's really ambitious, and it goes from like the fall of the angels to the death of the last apostle.
Do you have a start date?
I don't have a start date. I just have to begin pre-production and see what happens. And it's just going to roll in its own time. It's taking its own time. I thought it was late. I thought, it's taking too long. It's taking too long, but it's probably just right. Yeah, it's when it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, if you believe that, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope you're right.
I think I'm right. My instincts are that I'm right.
Yeah.
And if I was going to trust anybody with that story, it would be you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a massive thing. And theologically, it's something that you have to really look at and make correlations that ring true. Because it's not all written.
Do you consult with someone, like a biblical scholar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Yeah. And, of course, there's your own a thing that comes into it from having read the book a few times. You read the book a few times, and it's amazing how your memory, how there's these recessive files somewhere in the background, how you can correlate this piece to that piece over there. And that's important because juxtaposition is everything with this story. And what it means in a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So it's hard to explain, but it's quite involved.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And I don't know that you can do it in a foreign language because the concepts are too difficult now. So that you may have to resort to the vernacular so that that at least is clear.
Is that up for debate right now with you?
Yeah, it is. I'm thinking But look, have you seen these apps now where they have this AI stuff where the guy's talking German and then he switches to French and then he's Spanish and then Chinese? And, have you seen that?
Yeah.
And his mouth moves and it's the same voice. I mean, it's crazy what they do. So,
So you're going to use that kind of a tool, do you think?
You could.
Will you begin it in Aramaic or in Hebrew?
Maybe. Yeah, Aramaic is really the kick, isn't it? But I think I'll write. I've written it in English, but I wrote the last one in English too and translated it. And then the people had to learn to speak it because I think there's only about 400 people that actually speak Aramaic still.
Wow.
And apparently they understood it, so I was happy about that.
Wow.
So that was good. Yeah, 400,000 people. Sorry.
Oh,
in the world.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Sorry, 400 people. Yeah.
I've preserved those 400 people.
Yeah, not many people speaking Latin still, but that's quite well known.
Well, I can't wait to see it, man. Yeah. And I just want to say I appreciate you very much. All the stuff that you've done. You've made some really awesome pieces in your life. You really have.
Thank you. Yeah.
Done some great stuff.
Yeah. I'm blown away by where you got to with this, which is didn't you start off just smoking a spliff on a couch with a guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure how it happened.
No, that's good.
I just kind of kept doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Thank you.
I watch it all the time.
Thank you. There was no plan to it. I'll tell you that.
No.
There still kind of isn't. I still kind of do it the same way.
Yeah. Okay. Every day you wake up?
Yeah, I just look at my phone. I go online. I say, who do I want to talk to?
Yeah.
This guy might be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really
next?
it.
Who's next? You get some pretty interesting people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed at that. I can't remember his name now. Terrence, he's all into...
Terrence Howard?
Yeah.
Yeah, the actor? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy.
Had a bunch of stuff going on. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, he's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there. But, I mean, you have to be to be one of those guys.
You do.
Well, listen, brother, thank you very much for everything. Appreciate you coming in here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Your new movie's great, and all your stuff's great. I'm a big fan. So
yeah, tickets on sale today.
Yeah. When does it come out?
Oh, God, on the...
25th?
24th, 25th. Yeah, 24th, I think.
Okay,
yeah,
so soon.
Yeah. It's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye, everybody.